So I've just wrapped up this interview with Alvie. It's a fantastic one. I've worked with Alvie for over 2 years. I've seen him go from joining us at 16, then at 17, getting to 2,000 per month with his business, and now at 19, making six figures per year. So that is the intro. Let's get it going. I hope you enjoy the interview. All right, Alvie, appreciate you hopping on, man. Do you want to give people a quick intro before we get into the juicy bits?
Yeah, for sure. Sure. So first off, thanks for having me on, Adam. It's good to be here again. Second time doing the interview now. So my name's Alvie. I'm 19 years old from the UK. I've been doing my social media marketing agency for about 3 years now. I started back off in around September 2021. So coming up to 3 years now, and been lucky enough now to do this full time since I left school back around a year ago. Started off doing this just on the side when I started school, and now I've left school and I'm doing this full time. So being able to travel the world over the last year or so, been to lots of cool places while running my agency and bringing on clients and doing something that I really enjoy doing, which is running an agency. We do social media, so we do content creation, we do social media management for different businesses, and yeah, it's something that I really enjoy and something that I'm really excited to keep doing.
Love it, man. Love it. So obviously, Alvie, like you said, we've done this before. We did one of these about 2 years ago
Yeah,
when
it
you were
was. Yeah.
17. And I think at the time the title of the video was you were making 2,000 per month. So you're in and
Yeah.
around that point. To give people context, what happened since then? Like, has it all been, upward trajectory, every new month just making more money, or, have you had to go through some pivots and changes as well along the way? We'll get into a lot of other things as well, but I think that's a good
Mm.
place to start.
Yeah, definitely. 100%, 100%. So it was around 2 years ago that I got to that point of 2K a month. And it has been pretty good growth since then. Now I think the last month we did around 10,000 USD, which was a good month for us. But really it's not been enormously explosive. That's the whole 2 year process of being around 2, 3, 4K a month, slowly climbing up. And it's not been, you see people online where they'll do the crazy scaling really, really fast to go from zero to 30K a month in a few months. That's not been it for me. It has been a bit slower, but I'm okay with that because I know that I've been building the foundations over the last few years, and now I've got something really solid that I'm starting to scale up. So there has been, ups and downs. There's been points where I've got to maybe 6, 7K a month and really dropped
Hmm.
back. So it's not been one kind of straight
Yeah,
run up to the top, but you definitely learn a lot along the way. And it has been, I'd say for me, a bit of a slower process, but that's something that I'm really grateful for because I know that in the long run, that's really going to help me in building those foundations first.
definitely, man. Definitely. It's not all sunshine and Lambos, there's going to be months where you drop off, and that's part of it. I
Hmm.
think the really interesting thing though is that you kept going, right? Because like a lot of people, and I'm going to be ageist here, but like specifically because
Yeah,
you were 17 when you got to that point of
yeah,
2K a month,
hmm,
with that pressure of parents potentially wanting you to maybe go to
yeah,
college, get a different type of
hmm,
job, it would have been really, really easy
yeah,
for you to just go when you had a dip and just say, you know, I tried
yeah,
it, kind of worked, made a little bit of money, and I'm now going to dip
hmm,
because I need something more secure, stable, or whatever.
hmm,
But you obviously had something in you from that just
hmm.
made you want to keep going at it. Like, do you feel like that was something that you learned, or like was that within you? Because a lot of people in this space,
Mm,
yes, you can learn that, but there's also an element of, and if you've got that fire,
mm.
you've got that fire, and it's hard to put that out.
Yeah, definitely. I think there definitely are elements of it to which I've learned. Like if I look back way back to when I first started in entrepreneurship 3 or even 4 years ago, I was definitely in that period where I was dropping out of different things,
Hmm.
starting a business, then dropping out. But really, I think that there's never been over the past 2 years or so since I started initially scaling my agency where I've really seriously considered
Mm.
stopping doing it just because it's just something that I really love, and it doesn't even seem like an option to me to stop doing that. So I think that obviously there is discipline involved with staying focused and staying on track, but it's never really been a serious battle of mine. Should we drop out of the agency? Just because I love it so much, and I can't imagine doing anything else like going to university or getting a normal job.
For sure, man. Did you have much pressure from parents, family, friends, or just outside
Mm,
influences to do that? Like to go to college, go for a,
mm,
a more secure standard job. or like did they always kind of
Mm.
support it from day one?
Yeah, I think it was different for me because I was lucky enough to stumble across this whole world of online entrepreneurship and specifically stumble into your program back when I was about 16 years old. So I
Mm,
started very early, and I think I was 16 when I started signing clients, and I got to maybe around 2K a month at 16, 17. So I just got to that point of starting to make, a lower end full-time income
hmm.
before I started having to consider university or
Yeah,
or going down the 9 to 5 route. So I was lucky in some sense because I know that if I'd have started maybe 6 months later or a year later, then I would have really been in that position of, oh, okay, I've got no clients, but really I need to be going
mm,
to university if I don't have this. So I think there was definitely some kind of fortune involved in some ways. But I know that being said, that if I had started 6 months later, if I had started a year later, then I'd have known that I'd have had to, I'd have been able to back myself and just kind of put in the work and make it happen. Because if you've got the result, if you've got, even if it's on the lower end, like 3K a month, if you've got that evidence, then there's no one who can really tell you you shouldn't be doing this. You should go to
yeah,
university.
definitely, definitely, man. And I think what's interesting is that like that, if we could look at the alternative situation, which is you didn't start at that age, and let's say you came across this at 18 and you're already now in college and you've started that process and you've got your eyes on a certain job that you want to get after your 3 or 4 year degree,
Mm-hmm.
then in a sense, it would be a little bit more difficult, right? Because you wouldn't have that underlying proof to go to your
Yeah.
parents and other people and say, hey, look, I don't just believe in myself, but I've actually got proof. Like,
Yeah.
here's 2 grand
Mm-hmm.
that I made in the last month. And that proof is something that for me as well really helped. And it's kind of why when people come to me and say, hey, Adam, like I'm in college, right? I hate my course, but parents don't really support this whole online thing. What should I do? And I'm like, of course they're not going to support it. Like, would
Mm-hmm.
you also support it if you were your own parent,
Mm-hmm.
older, wiser, trying to look out for, your son or your daughter? Maybe
Mm-hmm.
not. But if you can go to them, put your head down first for 6 months,
Yeah.
get some results yourself, and then
Mm-hmm.
go to them and say, will you support me on this? And then they say no. And you go, oh, well, fair enough. It would have been
Mm-hmm.
nice if you were going to support me, but I'm going to go do it
Mm-hmm.
anyway because I'm making X per month and I can survive.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've got
Yeah.
myself sorted. Then you've got the power. So if they support you, it's an extra bonus, but they don't even need to. And it's going to be very
Mm-hmm.
easy for them to support you when you have the proof because it shows
Mm-hmm.
that you're about the action and you're not just going to talk about it. Because that
Yeah.
might be your parents' fear is,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Alvie's just, got this dream and he saw this thing online and it's not going to work and it's a scam or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But no, Alvie actually went and did it. And so now
Mm-hmm.
he can just show you I'm actually making it work. So I think that's a really key thing. It helped me, it helped you. And I think, for people in that situation, it's always what I try to recommend because you
Mm-hmm.
can't expect your parent to just turn around and say, hey, drop out of college and try this thing online. Like, drop out when it's making you money and prove to them that you can make it work first.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. And you touched on something that's really powerful there around actually just taking the action and not even talking about it because I see this so often with people around my age, like 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, where it is so popular now, the online business world. So many people, everyone's seen the TikTok, everyone's seen the Instagram reels, and everyone's given it some kind of go. But the people I see who actually make it the work and not the people who I see who are always like sending videos to their friends about, oh, let's get rich, let's start this business, and they're telling everyone, oh, I've started my dropshipping store or whatever it is. It's always
Yeah.
the people who actually don't mention it, and I never really told people. And even still, like I never really talk about what it is that I do because I know that that's actually, it's not helping my success, it's harming my success by actually telling loads of people about it, telling loads of people where I want to be.
That's I agree, man, 100%. And for you then, Alvi, so I guess you probably only told people that, like, say, like people in person, so people you were in school with,
Mm-hmm.
friends, people you played sports with, whatever. Did you only tell them once you were making money with it, or did you not even tell them and they just one day randomly, kind of figured it out because they asked you something, or they saw your phone and they saw a notification, or how did that
Mm-hmm.
even happen? Because for me, it sounds like it was quite similar to you.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely didn't mention it to anyone until I actually started to make some
Hmm.
money with it and actually
Hmm.
started to get my first few clients. Even then, I wasn't going out of the way and telling people, oh, this is what I'm doing. I'm going home. I'm about to take a sales call. It was just like when someone might ask me, what are you looking to do? Are you looking to go to uni? I'd never lie a lot of the time. If it was someone I was close with, I would just say, oh, actually, I run my own company doing online
Mm-hmm.
marketing. And I never really go into the details, but
Mm.
yeah, I never really told too many people exactly how it worked, or wouldn't go out of my way to tell people about it. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's a lot of value in that, man. Like you said, if you're always sending your friends videos like, we got to get rich, this is the business we're going to start that's going to get us
Yeah.
free and this and that, it's great, right? It's motivation. I'm all for sharing
Mm-hmm.
that, but at the same time, there's definitely a correlation there, and there's a lot of people who
Mm-hmm.
will just never send those videos, and they'll just put the head down and
Mm-hmm.
they'll do the work. For me, when I was
Absolutely.
first getting into
Mm-hmm.
this world, same as you, didn't say it really to anybody
Mm-hmm.
until it was working. And then a couple of people I would have shared with, this is what I'm doing. It would have came organically of like, they would have seen my phone or a notification or something and like, what
Mm-hmm.
are you doing? What is that? And then boom, okay, let's have a quick
Mm-hmm.
chat about it. But I know, a lot of my home friends would have seen that and be like, oh yeah, we should do something. We should try something like that. And I would try and help as much as I could, give
Mm-hmm.
them all the blueprint of what I'm doing. Before I did any mentoring, I'd be telling them
Mm-hmm.
exactly like, look, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm sending, this is how I'm doing it, this is the type of client we get, it's the whole process. But yeah, I think it was probably hard for them to kind of see how they could then do it. And then they didn't invest in any help, like actual help, versus the
Mm-hmm.
hearsay from me. So I think it was actually quite hard for them to see that and go, I'm going to take action on this. Right.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a perspective of, if you know somebody that's doing something really well, it's kind of nice to just know that they're doing it. And sometimes people won't actually take action on that same advice. And they'll just be like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, like, yeah, but Alvie's just good with that stuff, right? Like, Alvie just gets that stuff. Instead of looking at it as like, well, look, if Alvie can do it, I can do it. And I can learn from
Mm-hmm.
him. So yeah, it's an interesting one, man. We could talk on that for hours. But I guess moving on from there, man, like since, because I'm really curious on this topic, like since then, like have you had any backlash? Any people, whether it's jealousy or maybe some doubts or an awkward, conversation at the dinner table? What has that been
Mm-hmm.
like for you? Because I've had a few of those encounters, and they're awkward and they're not ideal. And you'd love a scenario where everybody just
Mm-hmm.
supports everything from day one, but
Mm-hmm.
life isn't that way, and there's going to be people that don't like what you're doing, even if they're close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for me, actually, I'm trying to think of situations like that,
Mhm.
and I can't really. So I have been
Nice.
lucky in that way. I can't think of any particular instances where people have said, no, you shouldn't be doing this. I don't support this. Because I think it kind of comes back to the fact that I never really went out of my way to tell people and to tell lots of different people. So the people that did know were only the people who had decided to tell, and I knew that, I trusted them and I knew that they'd react well to it. So I think that's something that I've been lucky with, is that everyone has really supported it, and I've not as well. If I'd have been going out actively and telling loads of people I'm doing this, I'm doing that, then you're kind of inviting their opinion. But because I never really asked people or went out of my way to tell people about it and invited them to tell me what they think, I never really had those. And also, again, it kind of comes down to the fact that I didn't really tell it to people until I'd started doing pretty well with it. So even if they did try and tell me, oh, that's not going to work, that doesn't work, you should go to university instead, it just it wasn't correct because I'd
Hmm.
already started
Hmm.
to do well with it.
Makes sense, man. Makes sense. Alvi, you mentioned that you've done a lot of travel since you've got this going. And that's
Mm,
obviously, that's a dream a lot of people have, right? Start an online
mm-hmm,
business, make enough money to not get a job, number one,
mm-hmm,
and then get to that point where you're making more and you've got that freedom. So you can just book a flight, book an Airbnb, take a
mm-hmm.
month in Spain, go to Italy, go
Yeah.
to Mexico, do whatever, and still
Mm-hmm,
work and still make money. Obviously, I've
mm-hmm.
done it for a long time. I love it. What has that experience been like for you? I imagine the first trip was probably one to remember. I know for me, first time doing it, I was like, wow, this is crazy, right? That I'm still making money and
Mm.
I'm doing what I want to do. But how has that been, man?
Yeah, it's been amazing. It's been amazing. Like since I left school about a year and a few months ago, I have
Mm.
been lucky enough to be able to travel about quite a bit. Like I've been to America a couple of different times. I've been to the Caribbean a couple of different times. Been out in Spain by myself for a good 3 or 4 months. So there's been a lot of different experiences I've had with that. And that was always my dream. That was always why I got into this. It wasn't necessarily just to do this and be sat in the UK all day running a marketing agency. It was because I wanted to be out there. I wanted to see the world. I wanted to do this on the go. And I did really love it. I've traveled quite to, for quite a lot of the last year or so, and I have really enjoyed it. It's been some amazing experiences I've had, especially traveling with some friends I've made through the entrepreneurship community with other business owners. That's been really amazing. I think that actually, for me, I found that lifestyle, the kind of digital nomad lifestyle of always traveling around to different places, being in Spain this month, being in Italy the next month, is not something that I actually ended up wanting for my lifestyle. Just because in terms of actually living that life, it's a really amazing life. It's a beautiful life to live where you're in different places every day. You're loving the local place. You're swimming every day. It's a really amazing life. But I always found that, and this might sound a little bit funny, but actually I always just found myself during those times where I was traveling a lot. I always found myself quite distracted, and I always found myself kind of pulled away from my goals and what I wanted to achieve with my business, with my life. So me personally, that kind of life of always being in a different place, always traveling around, I always found that kind of pulled me away from what I actually wanted to achieve. And I always found that for example, when I came back to the UK, or when I went out to Spain, was planning to stay there for a longer period of time, I was always so happy to be back and to be focused, rather than, I've had months where I've been in, this country for a week, that country for a week with different friends. So for me personally, it's been something that I'm very, very happy to have experienced. I probably wouldn't want to live that life of constantly traveling long term, but it's definitely something that I'll continue to do, whether it's, maybe living in the UK and then going out and traveling maybe once every couple of months, once every few months, 100%. But in terms of that dream that I initially had of, always being traveling, it wasn't something that I actually ended up really wanting to do long term. But I'm still very grateful that I have the ability to do that, because if I was in the UK and I felt stuck here and I felt like I couldn't go wherever I wanted, then it would be a problem. Then I'd feel like, oh no, I need to go.
Exactly.
But because I know that I could travel to where I want, and it's just a choice, actually, most of the time, the answer is probably no. But it's so nice to have that opportunity and to do it for maybe once every few months, something like that.
I love that, man. I love that, because if you never did it like that, you had the dream, and if you never then actually went and did it, yeah, you're right, man. You'd probably be sitting there going, that is the goal. Like, that would be the best life on the earth. But you've gone and done it, and you've said, okay, cool, it's good, it's fine, but it's actually not as good as I thought it was going to be. And now I know. So like, rose tinted glasses off, you actually now have perspective as to what you truly do want. And you're like getting closer to that. And that changes obviously through our life. For anybody that's listening that's interested in doing that, and Alvie, you've probably witnessed this as well, we've seen a lot of people in our community do that and experience exactly what you mentioned, experience a lot of distraction, not a lot of growth during that period as well sometimes, because you're distracted, you're not as focused, you're in Mexico, you want to see Mexico, so you're not chained to your desk as much as you'd normally be. You're not even thinking about business as much because you're out seeing things that are new, exciting, and such. And there's definitely, I'd say, more people that go and do it that will struggle kind of to get back into things then when they come back. I've seen people do that, go away for a year and pretty much travel. Business hasn't really changed, it's kind of stayed the same. But then when they come back, it's quite difficult for them to get back into growing the business, because you've maybe just worked an hour a day pretty passively as you're traveling through places. But then to come back and do your 8-10 hours and really build something bigger, yeah, that's going to be difficult for sure. It's actually so, like, I've learned so much from doing it that you might remember, Alvie, we did a training specifically about like a digital nomad toolkit, we called it, because I remember Ty was asking me so many questions, for people watching. Ty is our student success manager, about how I would do certain parts of it, because he had started to do it and was like, man, this is tough. Like, there's parts that are so good, but this is tough as well. And I'm no expert at it, but like, I could see, wow, there's actually a lot that I'm doing when I'm traveling to make sure that routine and the discipline stays there while still being able to go and see the places you want to stay, but actually get the benefit of both worlds. So it's one of those things. I think everybody needs to do it and experience it. And then like they can come back with that renewed perspective and go, yeah, cool.
Mm.
It's not for me all the time. And now I know, and I've done it. So I've got perspective. That's what I love about the freedom, man.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
For sure, for sure. Alvie, on the technical side, man. So you're saying it's
Yeah,
mainly content creation, social media management that you guys are doing right now.
yeah.
Has that changed much? So from when you were at, let's say, that first 2K per month to where you're at
Mm.
now, has it changed much, or have you kind of stuck with that since then?
No, it's been very, very consistent in terms of the service that we've offered. Obviously we've had little changes throughout the last few years where we've slightly shifted around what we're doing, but it's always been very, very simple. It's always been creating content for businesses and posting it on
Hmm.
Instagram, posting it on Facebook. Nothing crazy at all. Nowadays, we're starting to shift more towards just creating the content and the business owners posting themselves. So it's even more of a simple service because like operationally, we want to keep it as easy as we can, as simple as we can. So we're doing something very, very similar for every single client, which means when I want to have different team members managing the workload for me, it's so much easier if we just have one very simple service. So we've done bits with different things in the past where we've had clients where we've done ads, we've done a bit of email marketing, but I've really wanted to streamline it and keep it very simple. So it's all very much the same that we're doing for each client. So that first off, we can become the best we can possibly be at that service and really improve our service delivery for that same
Mm.
service. But also just makes things so much easier in terms of hiring people, in terms of outsourcing, delegating the workload. So yeah, that's always been something that's been really, really good for me is just creating content for business owners and posting it. And it's something that people will always want, people will always need, or at least for the next 10, 15 years.
Mhm.
Everyone wants to grow on Instagram. Every business owner wants a presence on social media, but most people don't have the time to do it and don't know how to do it really well. So it's been always a service that's always been, yeah, really, really good for us.
Solid, man. Love it. Love it. And with that, then, Avi, like in terms of client acquisition, getting your clients, I know that
Mm,
has changed a few times. Obviously, we've had
mm,
conversations throughout the years where you've had periods where you're getting most of your clients on Upwork and you're
hmm
basically applying to jobs they're posting, sending proposals, quick call,
yeah,
and closing deals that way. And then you've had times where you've had outbound on Instagram. So multiple
hmm
pages sending multiple DMs a day, 50,
hmm
100 DMs.
yeah,
Sometimes, like now, where you've got a VA and a virtual assistant team that are
hmm
doing that for you, they're then basically booking your meetings. You're taking a few of those per week, and you might close one, two, three, depending on the week, of course. I guess, what would
hmm
be your takeaways for the person that's listening and they're kind of new and they want to get into it because they've probably
hmm
heard that. They're like, okay, so I can do this outbound and I can message businesses
hmm
directly on Instagram, but then I could also go and do Upwork. But then I also watched another video and a guy was
hmm
talking about cold calls and cold emails. So like, what would be
hmm
your just best advice that you can give for that person who's trying to get into it? Do they go and try them all, or do you think they should just
hmm
pick one of those because we know they all work and just focus on that one
Yeah,
thing for a period?
yeah, 100%, 100%. I think that first off, that's the most important thing to think is that they all work. They all work. You could run 100K a month business from just cold calling or from just paid ads or just from Instagram DMs. All of those work. So it's about choosing one and really focusing on that and making that work. That's the first thing. In terms of which one to pick, so there's really a couple of different categories I'd say for your outreach and your outreach method. The first one is what I'd call kind of like the very simple bootstrap method,
Mhm.
something like Upwork, something like cold calling. That's where you're doing all of the outreach yourself. It's more hands-on, but it's also a little bit easier when you're getting started to get clients because
Yeah.
you're doing it. Especially with Upwork, you're speaking to people who are actively looking to hire people for your service, which is really, really powerful. So that's what I'd recommend for when you're getting started, is that kind of more hands-on approach where it's you doing Upwork proposals, you may be cold calling businesses, even you going into businesses in person, because those are the outreach methods that are going to be the most likely to just get you those first few clients. Then moving on to the kind of second category that I'd look at is something where it's more systemized, something where it's more scalable. Something like, for example, sending out 500 cold emails a day, sending out 100 Instagram DMs a day, and having an outreach team do your outreach for you. That's kind of the phase two. that I'm starting to implement now to scale. But with those outreach platforms, like for example, email with Instagram, it's very, very difficult to do that at the start, because in order to really scale up with Instagram, in order to really realistically get clients, you're going to need to be doing hundreds of DMs a day. You're going to be doing lots and lots of volume. And to do that, you're going to need, I mean, you could do it all yourself, but it's going to be very tricky. The only reason now I'm starting to be able to scale on Instagram is because I've got a team. I've got three or four different appointment setters, outreach reps who are going out and doing that for me. So I can do that at scale. But if I was starting out and I was just only able to spend an hour a day doing Instagram DMs, I really couldn't get anywhere with that. And it's the same with something like cold emails. If you're just sitting down for an hour a day, it's going to be difficult to really scale that up and actually get some clients in the door. Versus if you can spend an hour a day writing up work proposals for business owners who are actively looking to hire someone for your service, or if you're going to spend an hour a day walking into local businesses in your area and asking them if they're looking for some help, then you're realistically very likely going to be able to get your first few clients and get to that point of 1 to 2K a month. Then you could look at, if you'd like to scale further, then you could look at going down the more systemized route of hiring an outbound team to do your Instagram DMs for you, to do your cold emails for you. That's the kind of route I would take, and that's the route that I've started to take personally. Is get into that first initial client base. That can definitely be a full-time income through something like Upwork, through something like cold calling, where it's more hands-on, less scalable, but more realistic to get those clients in, and then transitioning to something like Instagram, something like cold email, where you can scale that to a high level.
Love it, man. Love it. Yeah, Alvie, you've summed up, when we look at the category of people we have right now, and it's someone in that phase of 1, 2, 3K, and then the person who's in your phase, 5, 10, 15, 20K per month, there's definitely a clear correlation there, right? As in those people on the flip side that are past 5K per month, they've got more of that systemized approach. The person that is in that initial phase, yeah, you got to go where you're closest to the money. And like you said, if you want to be doing your Instagram DMs to get your first client, it's very possible, and we have people that do it, but it's more so going to take a lot more volume. And with a lot more volume, it's going to be tough for you to do that. It's going to be tough for you to do 100, 200 DMs a day if you're just starting off. Whereas when you can go to the place where they're like, boom, hands up, I want what you offer.
Yeah.
Show me that you're worth it. It's just it's a better place to start for sure, man. We've definitely shifted our philosophy on that in the last couple of years. We used to be very gung-ho on go to your Instagram, do your cold outreach, start off, do your 50 DMs a day, get your first client. But like right now, our wins channel has probably swung to where, I say 90% of people getting their first client, it's through Upwork or a platform where leads are already warm. You're just reaching out and competing. And as you've seen, the competition isn't too high. So when you can approach it correctly with a good profile, good setup, you've got all of those parts optimized, then not easy, but it's pretty damn simple, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Solid. Alvie, I want to touch on Instagram growth, because obviously it's a service you're providing to your clients. Okay. It's what you're mainly helping them do. It's why they're paying you. But in your own realm, with your own page, you've experienced some really good growth there as well. Do you want to share with people what you've done? Obviously, I've seen some of your videos pop off and get millions of views. And, now with clients, I think you've been able to take such a level of confidence from what you've done, but also proof and context to go to your clients now. And it just gives you a lot more conviction to help them as well. So do you want to walk us through that journey? Because it's been a fun one to watch.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. So this was something that I started way back over a year ago. I noticed that with pretty much all of our clients, we weren't really having serious problems with keeping them on. So we weren't having serious problems with losing clients or anything like that. But when I looked at the results that clients were getting, I was never really too happy with how their pages were performing, because that's the main service we deliver is, growing social media pages through content. And when I looked at the pages we were running for clients, we were getting, maybe 10, 20, 30 likes. We were getting videos with a couple thousand views, maybe, but it was never really anything amazing. So we weren't getting clients getting millions of views. We weren't getting clients who are signing loads and loads of clients through their pages, just from the videos that we posted. So it was always something where I thought this is something that we really need to improve on. And I want to make our agency one of the best out there for organic content, and I want to be able to create content for our clients that's actually going to do really well, that's actually going to get, lots of views, bring them lots of followers, and then obviously bring them lots of clients from that. So I decided that the best route for me to take was for me to actually start my own personal brand. So start my own page where I would share posts and tips about how to go on Instagram, how to create content, because that would be the perfect platform for me to really improve my skills and figure out how to create content that does go and get hundreds of thousands of views, millions of views. And also as well, in building my own profile, it's not just going to help me improve my skills, but also if I've got, an Instagram page about how to grow on social media that's got, over 10,000 followers, over 50,000 followers, it's going to be really, really powerful for me because first off, those 10,000 followers, those 50,000 followers, I can sell my services to them because they know me, they trust me. So I can generate leads for my agency through that page. And also, even if I'm speaking to clients who maybe I've got on a call with through Instagram DMs or through Upwork, then I can show them, look at my page, I've got 10,000 followers. I got a video this week that got 100,000 views. Immediately, I'm the expert. I'm like, if they look at the other people they've spoken to who don't have that, me being the person who's got 10,000 followers on a page talking about my industry, talking about how to go on social media, of course, that's really going to put me, position me as the expert and as the best person to go to because I know exactly how to do it. I've done it myself. So I always say to clients is, if you look at my page, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be implementing the exact strategies that I use for you. And those strategies have got me amazing results, and they're going to get you amazing results as well. So it's something that I started about a year ago now. It was back in July that I was initially planning out the first content. So it's been a journey of over a year, and it's been really, really tough. I remember thinking to myself in the early stages where I was posting every day. I was posting every day trying to grow my page. Genuinely, it was harder for me to grow my page, to get those initial followers in, to get those initial views in. That was a harder process than getting my first agency clients. Like I truly believe that. It was so difficult. But after I stayed consistent with it, I was posting every single day for over 6 months. Finally, I got one video that really started to take off. I got one video that got over 6 million views. It was one of the most viewed videos in my industry at the time. And I gained 5,000 followers off the back of that. My account started to really grow, and I finally had that audience that I've been trying to build for so long. Yeah, so it's been something that I've been really working hard on over the last year, and finally starting to get some results so that I can go to clients now and say, look, this month I've got one video that's got 11 million views. I've got two videos that have got 100,000 views. What I'm going to do for you is I'm going to create the exact same style of content based on the exact same strategy that's got me these amazing results. And I'm going to do that for you to grow your brand. So it's been something that I've been working on for a long time, over a year. And it's just something that it gives me that advantage over anyone else who my clients are probably speaking to, because they can see that I've really put in the time, really put in the hard yards to become that expert and to become really good at what I do. So it's not something that I necessarily needed. It's not something that you need when you getting started, because definitely I had this kind of limited belief that I need to make a client go viral. I need to make a client get millions of views if I want to keep them on as a client. But really, I do have clients where, we've not been getting millions of views, but we're getting solid performance. We're getting maybe 30, 40 likes, and they're happy with that. So it's not something that's been absolutely crucial for me to keep my clients, but it's going to be something that's going to really help me to get to that next level of, bringing on a serious number of clients after they've seen my content. And obviously, with the clients that I do bring on, they'll be higher paying, or they'll be just more motivated to work with me because they've seen that I'm the expert. I'm not that kid anymore who's just getting started and just figuring out how this works. I do have those results behind me.
100%, man. I love that idea, like of the confidence it gives, because it does. If it never even brings you any client, you'll know for sure. It's like, I've got that proof now. And I think the beautiful thing there is when you've gotten a proof of results with Instagram, like, okay, look, there could come a time where you're struggling to get views again and something changes and this and that, but you always still have that proof that you have. And if you've done it once, you can do it again. And people understand that if you've gone viral, over 1 million views, not once, but twice, and like multiple millions of views, it's something you'll be able to do again and again. It mightn't happen every month, but it's something you will be able to keep doing. And then for your clients, that's imagine the conviction they're going to have in you, in your service, and how much you're
Mm,
going to be able to help. So yeah, it's so good, man. It obviously, like you said, it's been a journey. Obviously, I've seen it from you posting pretty much every day for like 3 or 4 months. No, not really any views, not really much
mm,
follower growth, nothing happening. But you kept going, and that's something I want to allude to, man. Like you kept going with the personal brands when it was,
mm,
as you said, very difficult, harder than getting your
mm,
first client, but you just kept going. You said, I'm
mm,
going to stick at this because I know it can work. And as long as I
mm,
know it can work, I have to make it work. You had that
mm,
mindset. It was so clear. Obviously, I'm sure you had days where you were like, no way, like pack it in. This isn't it. It's
mm,
too hard, but you kept going. And when I look back all the way to when you started, obviously, so back at
mm,
16, when you would have first joined, you had that same mindset where, you had a
mm,
moment of, man, I don't know, I'm not getting results yet.
mm,
It's not quite working yet. It's harder than I thought it was going to be. But then you
mm,
pushed through that and you got your first deal. And then you got your first 2K, 3K, 4K, 5K month. And it only happened because you had that level of resilience to say, I'm going to keep going
mm,
past it. But I think what's really interesting is a lot of people will hear that and be like, oh, well, Alvie's just this machine, right? Like he's just, machine. He has no negative thoughts, no limiting beliefs,
yeah,
nothing. Every day is a good day. He shows
mm,
up and he's the rock. He's Dwayne Johnson. But it's like, that's part of it. But the other part is you're human, right? The other part is you
yeah,
are, of course, like me, like anybody else, you're going to have a day where you
mm,
go, today ain't the day, man. I'm not feeling
mm,
it. Maybe this thing isn't for me, but it's
mm,
identifying that day and just putting it as, hey, it's just one day. That's all it is. This doesn't have to
mm,
become a whole week now or a whole month. Just one bad day. Don't let that bleed into the
mm,
next. And when I look at the mentoring we've done, obviously you've been
mm,
there for a long time. So you've been in probably parts really active for a few months, and then you might be working on something else and you mightn't be as active and then back
mm,
again. But what has been consistent is you've reached out when you've needed help, like that. When you struggled to get a first
mm.
client, you reached out. When personal brand was struggling a bit, you reached out. You just stuck at it, man. And I just want to acknowledge you for that, because a lot of people don't. And I
Mm,
see it a lot. You definitely see it a lot with people you probably speak to in this community and other communities as well.
mhm,
So I want to acknowledge you for that, man. And if there's any thoughts you have on why you feel like you've been able
mm,
to keep going through tough time of building
mhm.
personal brand and tough time of getting first clients, I think people will get a lot of value from that.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And I think that for me, the most powerful mindset with this has always been, and this is something, to be honest, that I never really had when I first started. So when I first started growing my agency, this wasn't something that I'd really adopted yet, but something that over the past year I've really learned is that actually the harder that it gets, the longer it takes to get results, that's better. It's
Mm,
better because all that means is that means that every single day that you're trying to grow your agency and not getting clients, every single time that you go a day without booking a call, without getting a client, the longer that takes, the better, because every single day that you go without getting a success is a day that a competitor drops out. Every single day that you keep going is a day where some competitor you've got, someone trying to do the same thing, goes, oh no, this is too much, I'm out. So the longer that it takes, the more valuable whatever you're trying to build, the more valuable that becomes. That's the exact mindset that I had when I was trying to build my Instagram page, trying to grow my personal brand, was that, the longer this takes, actually the more valuable it is. Because if I posted my first 9 posts, one of them went viral, and then I got 1,000 followers off the back of it and I was flying, every single person who ran an agency would then go make 9 posts, go viral, and grow a personal brand, and everyone would have it.
yeah.
The fact that it took me 4 or 5 months of posting every single day, constantly learning about how to create content, how to grab people's attention, how to make this work, the fact that it took me so long means that 99% of people will never do what I did,
Yeah.
and they'll never have that asset that I grew. And it's the same with the agency. You know what I mean? If you're really hoping, oh, I wish I got my first client in the first week, I wish I got to 5K a month in the first month. If you really think that through, if that truly was possible, then everyone would go and do it. Everyone would go and get, to 5K a month with their agency. Everyone would go and get clients. And then having an agency becomes way less valuable, and it would mean there would be so much more competition in the market. So the harder something is, and the longer that it takes to get results, the less competition you're going to have, and the more valuable it is, the whatever it is you've built. So it's something that like it takes a little bit of time to adopt that mindset, but like genuinely, truly, whenever anything's taking more time or whenever anything's becoming really difficult, I genuinely, like truly, I don't get annoyed. I actually become satisfied because of that, because I know that it's just the longer it's taking, the more people are dropping out, the less competition I've got, and the more valuable it is that, you know, whatever it is that I'm building. So
Love
that
it.
mindset in itself has always been, or has started to be at least, something that's been really valuable to me, because at the end of the day, as a business, that's all you do. You get paid to solve problems. So the more problems that you have, as long as you solve those problems, the more money you're going to make. If you never have problems in your business, you're basically never going to make any money. So whenever any problem comes up, so for example, you can't sign clients or you can't keep your clients, whatever that is, that's an opportunity for you to fix that and go and become more successful. So both of those mindsets have been really helpful for me. And I think just when you start to view problems as opportunities, as something that's actually really valuable. I know that sounds a little bit cliche, but it's actually just enormously powerful, because at the end of the day, you're always going to have problems. And if you always see those as, oh no, you know, it's taking longer than I thought, it's so difficult, there's always going to be that bad, those negative thoughts, that kind of bad energy. But if you know that you always have problems and that's okay, that's so much more of a positive mindset to have.
And that's a clip right there. That's wisdom. That truly is, man. And I know you've said that to me many times in like just off the cuff. You've said that exact same thing in a different way. I remember with the personal brand story you mentioned a couple of times, you know, the come up story is going to be sweeter. You know, like when I do hit it and I do get something to pop, that's going to be sweeter. Because as you said, if imagine you just started 9 days in, boom, viral. Like, of course, then your expectation is completely skewed now. You're going to think every 9 posts is just boom, viral video. Or, like you said, if that was just the truth and everybody who would post 9 videos would go viral, then nobody would want to go viral, because all I have to do is post 9 videos. Like, that's not even attractive anymore. It's like the cliche, like, if everyone's a millionaire, you don't want to be a millionaire because it means absolutely nothing, right? It's people want it because there's only a certain number of people that have it. It's what makes it valuable. It's why, you know, high-end brands do so well, because not everybody can afford them. So when somebody does have the money to buy their Louis Vuitton bag, even if it's all their money, they might spend all that money on the bag because it makes them feel a certain way that other people can't feel because they got the brand. So that's powerful, man. And I think for people watching, if they really truly just take a minute, like, you know, don't hear it from me, hear it from Alvie, someone who's in the position you probably want to be in, that was in the exact position you might be starting from. Listen to the man. He knows exactly what he is speaking about. I've seen him go through this process. Because if everyone we worked with could come in with that mindset, everybody would come in and kill it and crush it. And it would just take time. But obviously, that's just the way the world works. It's the law of numbers. Certain people will get that, certain people won't. But if everybody could, I'd be a very happy man.
For sure.
Alvie, a lot of knowledge dropped there, man. A lot of good stuff. Just to wrap it up, Alvie, if you were to explain, if someone was watching this, and the person who's still watching this is probably someone who's quite, you know, watched a lot of my content, probably quite interested in what we do. They've probably seen a lot of my stuff, and they might even be just watching loads of interviews and testimonials and that kind of thing. What would you say has been just honest experience with the mentoring, in terms of, was there a specific part you feel like helped you the most, or a certain part that you just really liked? Just a rough general feedback, because some people get such value just from a blueprint, right? From a step-by-step training course, gives them the info they need, and they just go off and they use that, and that's enough for them. For somebody else, it's calls, it's interaction, it's coaching, it's community, it's something else that they need. From what we've done, what do you think has been the best for you?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's so much that I could talk about, because I've been in your program now for so long. It's been almost 3 years now.
Yeah.
And I was thinking then that I really couldn't imagine trying to do this, trying to grow the business without having that kind of support, without having someone there that's been there and done it. But I think in terms of what's been the most valuable, I would say it has been the weekly calls that we have. So every single week we'll hop on, I'll explain what's going on with the business, where we're running into problems, what kind of issues we need to solve. And then you always have some kind of mad idea that just kind of fixes it pretty much straight away. So I would say that that's been the most valuable part, is always having that kind of check in every single week, because at the end of the day, if you're checking in every single week with someone who has been where you want to be and has achieved what you want to achieve, and they know where you're trying to go, you really can't stray too far from your goals, because you're going to constantly have that accountability and that guidance to get to where you want to be. Like if I look at the times where I've been maybe the most, like I've maybe plateaued and I had the least growth, it's been the times where I've maybe not been speaking to people about what I've been doing, speaking to mentors, speaking to friends I've had. And specifically with the program, like it's been times where I've not been checking in on those calls. That's the times where maybe my growth has kind of plateaued out. So that's been the most valuable part for me. But there's so much that I could talk about. For example, like the community, just being able to meet so many people. Obviously, in person, you're probably not going to know people like this who want to achieve what you want to achieve, or at least who are seriously taking action to achieve what you want to achieve. So being able to make those friends and speak to people inside of there is so valuable. Like the amount of friends I've made. My best friend Ty is the student success manager within the program. I met him through this community, and now we've traveled together. We've been to amazing places all over the world together, and he's someone that like now is one of my best friends, and I just met him through the program. Again, like tomorrow I'm going to meet someone who I met through the program. We're going to learn so much from each other. So I think that it's a combination of both those things, is being able to learn every single week from someone who's achieved exactly what I want to achieve, and also being able to network with people and make friends who really have the same outlook, the same goals as me, has been so powerful. So yeah, there's so much that I could talk about, but yeah, I really couldn't recommend working with Adam anymore.
Amazing, man. Obviously great to hear. Nice bit of feedback. And to wrap it up there, for anybody that is interested, there is information probably below the video as to how to get our help. And I think the key thing that I want to highlight to you now is that what Alvie has said, like all of those benefits, the things that he has gotten, the value he's received, is because he's used it. Okay. Like Alvie came in, great example of someone that just came in and did the work, right? Came in, asked for help. When he was struggling, he let us know. We could help him out. When things were good, he let us know, and we could see how we could get to the next level. And like you said, you had that, just that control, that discipline to say, hey, I'm going to show up most weeks. Mightn't be every single week in the year, but most weeks I'm showing up. Quick check in on a call, quick brain dump. Here's where I'm at. Here's where I'm struggling. This is what I need help with. This is where I want to get to. And we chat about it. And like that, you've then actioned those things. And, for me, that's very easy to work with someone like that, because like you said, there's no way it won't work for you if you have that level of commitment that I'm actually going to show up, ask questions, bring myself to it, and do the work. And, it's for us, then it's a really thoroughly enjoyable relationship, because it's not like we're pulling, we're trying to find needle in a haystack. It's just very fluid, flows. It's easy. It's for me, it's just like, it's not work. And that's the beauty of what we do when we have people to come in with that right mindset. So Alvie, we'll leave some links below, man, so people can check out. I'll leave your Instagram. If there's anything else you want to drop, feel free, send it over after, and we'll pop that in. And for everyone watching, I hope you enjoyed, and be sure to reach out to Alvie. As you can see, he likes meeting people in this industry, so definitely reach out to him, have a chat with him, and maybe he can help out as well. So that is a wrap. I first hope you've enjoyed the interview with Alvie. I personally enjoyed having that chat with him. I think he's got some very interesting insights, and obviously I've worked very closely with him. So seeing his transformation, it's been a hell of fun. If you want more information about what we do, you will see, as I mentioned in the interview, a link below. So check out that link below, where you can either book in a call to get more info, or there might be even another link where you can just see all the information there and then about what we do and how we can help. So check that out, and I'll see you there.